Okay, so I'm back on this radio. One of the things I haven't done yet, which I probably need to do, is the recap thing. So I thought I'd just do a bit of video on that and include that in the next section when I'm doing that new display board, which I'm waiting to arrive. So I've already done a bit under the PLL area here, or around the PLL. I've already recapped in this area here before I put this board in. So I've done a little bit, but I haven't really done that much yet. Let's put that back in the right place, hopefully. Alright. So I've still got, I don't know, what, 20 caps or something still to do. So I'm going to do some now, because it does have an issue with noise on sideband, and part of that is the display. But even without display noise, it still doesn't sound quite right. So I'm going to just recap it and have done with it, and just go from there. Okay, so let's get the chair. Now I've got the microphone a bit further away than normal, because otherwise the noise from the pump is right by the mic. So I'm hoping that it's makes it a little bit quieter. It may or may not help, I don't know. Okay, so let's get started. Just looking for where I'm going to start. I think I'll start just there. Now, one of the hardest bits about doing this is actually finding out where the part is. So it's around there somewhere. Try and find this. Oh, let's get a torch. Okay. Right. It is, I believe, just there. So let's find out. Come on, melt. I've used this old iron for a little while. So yeah, that's definitely one of them. Okay. Hopefully that's a bit quieter than normal. So this is going to be done one at a time. I'm not going to do like a whole bunch of them or something like that. But what we got? 0.47 50 volt. Okay, 0.47, negative to the left. I won't solder them all in straight away. I'll go around and do it afterwards because it's quicker that way. The main thing is to get them out. So I think it's going to come across in like blocks, and I don't like sort of going all over the place, but. There's one there as well. Let's see what that one is. Got my light just there, so hopefully I can use that. It's just here somewhere. This is always the worst bit, is trying to find the things on the board. Where is it? I think it's that one there. I think it's that pair. That's one leg. There's the other one. Cool. Right. 47 10 volt. Okay, 47. Again, you always have to make sure you watch out for the polarity when doing capacitors, in case you're not familiar with doing them too much. It's easy to get them in backwards. I've done it. I did one, this capacitor about this kind of size on a HR2510, and I put the thing in and I was getting distracted by something at the time. I think I was doing recording video maybe, I can't remember, and I put it in backwards and I powered up, boom. Really didn't like it, but yeah, it's one of these things. Last little reminder, oops, there goes a dollar capacitor, whatever it is worth, I don't know. Alright, so I've got 3 here. Again, it's always the pain of trying to figure out what the hell the thing is. Especially when you get more densely packed like that. Well, I don't know if you can see that on camera or not. You can probably see through the PCB. I'm hoping you can. I can't see the camera from what I'm seeing, but gives you an idea of where to look. Doesn't help that much. Where the hell is it? I can't find it. No, I've got an idea, but I think it's here, but I'm not sure. Might be wrong. There's no movement, so I'm guessing I'm wrong. Yeah. Oh, I'm close to there. Right, this is going to drive probably everyone nuts. Right, so I'm going to stop recording at least, and I'll come back after I've done some more. Right, so I'm still going. I managed to find that one I was trying to struggle to find over here, and ended up soldering a whole bunch of parts. So I've soldered those back up again already, but so I thought let's do some more, just showing what I'm doing. You don't often get to see people completely desoldering a board like this, or messing around with this sort of stuff. 2.225. So I'll keep my capacitors right in front of me here, because it's 50 volt. I like to keep them at arm's reach. What's this one? There we go. So this is a bit smaller. Actually, I might use a bigger one because I've got space for a bigger one here. That's right. Right, polarity. You see, I've basically got this part of the board here done now, but that's not like the bulk of them anyway. So I'll solder these ones up whilst I'm recording, and you can see me doing all that. I don't tend to use additional flux on this. I think I actually need it. Usually it's not an issue. So this solder I use, this multi-core solder, has got heaps of flux already in it. So it tends to do quite well anyway. I think it's to make sure you got the iron on the bit you're trying to solder first, so the flux goes to where it needs to go without burning off straight away. If you put it on your iron first, the flux burns away, and then it's not as effective. If you do it right on the part you're trying to solder, then it works a lot better that way. I think that's all the current ones done. Get clipping. Some people wiggle the wires until they break and stuff like that. I think, well, just cut it. It's just cut it. It's just easier. You know, messing around. I'll wiggle it and try and stress the board and risk breaking a pad off the board. You know, it's a bit fragile or weak or something. Just cut it off. Don't mess around with it. Sometimes you get ones like this a little awkward though, but that's right. There we go. But yeah, it's just each has got their own. Each person's got their own technique, but this is the way I prefer to do it. This is what I found works for me the best. I mean, it's just nice and simple. You can get, well, I've seen ages ago now. I haven't seen it for a long time. There's like a cutter which you can actually use for these wires. It's meant for these cutters. Actually bend them over and cut them at the same time. Yeah, I don't know into those. I haven't seen those for a long time. I haven't seen them advertised. Anyway, so okay, I'm going to record more of that. Give you an idea anyway. I'll come back after some more. Alright, so I've got a bunch of these ones done now, so I'll solder those ones in. I'm just trying to keep it as simple as I can with the video. It's not necessarily the tidiest thing to be doing. and not necessarily the most exciting video either. So I'm just copying bits out. It's a bit which isn't pat. I should solder that on. It's not used anyway, but I just like to solder those things on. And here's obviously needs to be soldered. That's where I was trying to find the other end of the capacitor. There's a wire I just soldered, well, a lead I just soldered before, which I didn't want to. Of course I should have the extractor going when I'm doing this, but yeah, I haven't bothered turning it on because it's too noisy. Not for this, not when I'm recording. I just don't breathe the stuff in if I can avoid it. It's not good to breathe it in. Right. And I shall carry on. Okay, so I've got the rest of the caps in place. Now I just need to solder them up. Then here I've probably got the well, probably here I've got the extractor running. Just got a few things to solder here. I've already done all the ones around here. I just didn't record that. Don't think you need to see every little bit. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's not that hard to change the caps in this. It can be a little bit tricky in spots, but some of the bits is problems I have is actually trying to find the cap, trying to find which wire lead it is, because it's got all sorts of weird angles and not like necessarily vertical or horizontally orientated across the board, and because of that it causes problems trying to find them, but that's alright. That's one of those things. It's part of the job. But yeah, it's not too bad. So hopefully this will help the audio quality a little bit, because I think it wasn't sounding as good as it should have done, and rather than risking an issue with the capacitor playing up later on and causing kinds of headaches, I just recapped the whole radio. I mean, these original capacitors are still in here, right? Well, they were, and so these things are old, you know. So well worth replacing them and upgrading to the latest ones. I mean, one of the things you see quite noticeably is the difference in size between the new caps and the originals. Some of them are a fraction of the size, even with the higher voltage rating and things like that. So it's a little bit interesting. Okay, I think that's all of them soldered. Checking for any bits I might have desoldered whilst trying to hunt for one. I think I'm okay. Right. Let's clean this up. Get all the flux off this board. This is something I actually probably meant to do at the beginning of the work on this radio. You know, I knew it needed recapping. Well, you know, being old, you think, oh, it's going to need it, even if there's no apparent faults. It's always a good thing to do on an old radio. But I should have done this ages ago when I first started playing around with this one and doing that modification board work. But so that board won't be too far away now. I'm just waiting for the new circuit board to arrive for the front panel board, and then I can make that, which I'll video. It'll be on the end of this bit, and try it out. I mean, the software is basically done, but obviously what I have to do now is rewrite the software for the changes to the display driver. You know, using different display drivers, so now it's a little bit different. But you know, that's just part of it. So that could introduce some issues in itself. But anyway. You see the flux come up, look at that, it's gone dark brown, immediately gone brown, dark brown. Getting the old flux off the ball. why I try and do it this way and give it a scrape and clean it off first, loosen it off and then stick this on. I think I'm going to need another piece. So immediately it's gone dark brown. Yeah, oh, that's right. It's doing the job. When I first started doing electronics work, I never actually used to worry about the flux being on the ball. It just, yeah, it's messy, but I thought, well, you know, it seems to work fine. It doesn't really seem to affect things. And sure, that's true, but it's not good because you can actually get corrosion on the ball and things like that. And flux is, what flux does is it eats away the surface of the metals that are there, and you know, removes the oxides and stuff like that. So if you leave it in there, if it gets hot, it causes that to start happening again. And I mean, look at that. I've just come off from that piece there. There's a lot of flux on this board. Not just for me working on it. This is stuff that's been left there from previous repairs or even factory work, I expect. You know, it's yeah, it's bad now. Another piece. I need some more cleaner on here too. Well, this is just IPA, it's nothing particularly special. Yeah, still a bit of flux around. But it's not too bad now. So there's a lot of flux just over there. It's original. Yeah, it's just good to get it off because otherwise you end up gradually corroding the board and or component leg, stuff like that. It's just nice to get rid of that. Doesn't need to be there. Once it's done its job, it can go. Look at this. I mean, that's what I've got off there. Good job, I've got loads of these swabs. lots of these swabs. Yeah. Okay. So, if you haven't seen these swabs, any one of my mailbag videos, there's actually makeup swabs. So they're for makeup removers. For, I think it's supposed to be for nail polish or something like that. These are basically lint-free makeup remover cloths. That's all they are. And I actually did a search for lint-free cloth on AliExpress, and that's what turned up. I thought, oh, okay, well, you know, they're nice and small. You're not using a whole massive big piece. If you're only doing a little bit, you know, you're not wasting it. And if you need more, you just get another one. You know, so I think in that regard, it's pretty good. Still a lot of flux on here. It's original stuff from the factory sitting there. But anyway, it's alright. But yeah, these come really handy. So if you need some cleaning cloths, then you know, if you want to do it the way that I do this, there may be a better way of doing this than the way I do it, but this is what I find works for me. And actually, with this new modification board, I can probably remove these bits I've got on the back here. Probably can. Right, still got flux over here, you can see it. Yeah, because that change I've done to the display board, now it's going to be using a display driver. I may not need this filtering I've added in here for the phase detector output. I'll leave it in place for now, but I actually suspect it won't be needed. There's no harm in having it there. It's not actually causing any ill effects. It's actually helping to clean up the signal. So, you know, it's certainly worth keeping it most likely. So yeah. Yeah, I think I'll keep that there. But, yeah, that's not too bad now. I think I've got rid of most of that flux that's on the board. I think there's not much left there now. Okay. So that's enough of the videoing of that, and the next piece I'll do will be on hopefully the display driver, which is over here. Right, continuation of the Cobra saga, I suppose. This is the latest version of the board for the display. I had to resort to doing a display driver, which is right here, which is MC145170. Now I've got the fun of trying to solder this onto here. I'm not great at S&D soldering, it's very fiddly, so I have to sort of figure out which order I'm going to solder parts in on. So I think the best way is to start with this IC, because that's the trickiest part, and then flip it over, do all the surface mount resistors and capacitors, and then probably the display, and then the header which goes on that side, and the then the Rohde encoder. I think it should all be, you know, easy enough, I suppose. Interestingly, on this side I've got bold text, on this side I don't. I have to look at that on the files and see why I've happened to get that. Interesting. I think it looks better without the bold text. I think just normal text looks better in there. Bold is a bit too much, running into itself. Anyway, I'll do that in a future revision if I do another one. So, I'm waffling on. I need to put this chip on there. So I've got my iron warming up. Now this is tricky, and the soldering iron tip of my iron is actually fairly large for this sort of work anyway. So I've already put some flux pen on there, but I know this stuff works really well for doing surface mounts, so I'm going to stick a bit of this on as well, which is the antique flux. This seems to help the solder to avoid bridging. It just seems to help counteract that. I've been asked where I got this from previously, and I got this from Louis. God, does the Mac repair stuff. Louis Rossman, right? So I got this from him in the USA, and you can see it's got a best before date, you know, expiry date of last year, but it still works absolutely fine. It's not like it's been getting too hot or anything. I'll keep it out of the sun, that sort of thing, so it still works absolutely fine. So although it's got an expiry, it isn't really an issue. Now the tricky thing with this, I need to get this lined up and tacked on. And having the flux on actually makes it a little bit harder, because now I can't see exactly where all the pins go. But it's sticky, so you can actually, you know, position things a bit better, I suppose. But it's not too bad. So I'll just position that, then I'll just tack on one leg with a soldering iron, and then double check the positioning, make sure it's all good. If this sort of camera, actually, maybe I'll be able to see a bit better. Yeah, I can actually. That's good. Right, it's not too bad, is it? Yeah, I do. Let's try and solder that in. I've got the chip right around. That's always a bonus. Now I've got this massive solder. I wonder if that's going to be overkill for this. Yeah, I don't need the flux, so I can use a small one. Alright, give that a clean. Now my iron is actually set quite hot. It's 350 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit. So, right, hopefully my head doesn't get in the way I'm trying to do this, because I've got to try and see at the same time. Alright, so I'm put on. The opposite corner. 2 pins on. Right. Double check the alignment before I do any more. Still looks good. Here we go. There's drag soldering, all sorts of stuff like that, but I don't think I'm that good. I prefer to do individual pins just like this. Now this is where having good flux makes a difference, because it just goes to where you want it. It just travels. I'm sure I could do drag soldering on this thing, but I don't like my chances of doing that well. It's not something I've done a lot of practice with, and I know this works for me, so I'm just going to do it this way. I've actually got the camera closer than normal, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. hopefully. I can barely see what I'm doing, so hopefully your chance is better. Okay. Actually sure what size tip this is I'm using actually. I probably should figure it out. I should pretty much use a tip for everything. Even quite large stuff, so I don't know. No, bridged it. Bridged it. Come on. Come off, come. No. Here we go. Got it back. Right. Right. Now let's see if everything is looking okay or not. Test some tweezers. They're the ones I want. There we go. And we shall just try moving pins and see if anything wiggles. So it moves and it's not soldered down. Is that focused? No, get in the camera and see what I'm doing then. So far so good. I'd love to get myself a little microscope actually. Actually, that's the point. It's a shame it's not arrived yet. I've ordered one from Banggood. But they approached me and asked me if I wanted some equipment. And I said, yeah, sure, why not? And one of the things, well, one of the things, yeah, I think I got two things from them. Then I get two small items, and it's a magnifier, which would be really good for doing this. It's a shame it's not arrived yet. Buddy over at the radio shop he got approached at the same time, and his has already arrived, his item. So I mean, mine will be far away, I'm sure, but being where I am, a bit more remote, it takes a bit longer for things to arrive. Okay, so that's the chip on. I should probably check for shorts actually. Let's just do that, just in case. Probes to actually touch in the right place would be good. Yeah, all fine. No issues there. Let's just hope my design works, eh? That's the next challenge. How's that going to work? Okay. I won't clean it up yet. I've got more soldering to do on this side, so I won't clean it up yet. Right, the next thing is all these other little parts we've got to put in here. Now there's a couple of parts I'm not sure about. I've redesigned this and put in some extra filtering. This is obviously for the display IC. These capacitors here are filtering. That was just there is for the current drive setting of the IC to display for the display brightness. So I've estimated what value I need. I may have to change it. We'll see how we go. And I changed the circuitry for the encoder as well to put different hardware debouncing system in here. Although what I had was working okay, I thought, well, it's not actually the best way of doing it, so I've changed how I've done it and changed it so now it goes through a resistor to a capacitor rather than the capacitor directly across the actual switch, just to try and see if it will improve anything. Right, so I'm going to pause this for a second and get some parts ready and I'll come back. Right, this is 3 10k 0603 resistors. Now what I actually have on this board is I have 0805 size pads. Now what I've done is I've intentionally chosen that size with the intention of putting a 0603 resistor on, because it just makes soldering them on a bit easier, and also gives you an option of using 0805 parts instead. But I mean 0603s were working fine, so I'm not actually too worried. They only do really minor stuff. There's no real currents there. I might make that resistor there no, it should only be a really small current draw through that, so I think it should be okay. I was thinking I should make that one an 0805, but it's only a very small current, so I don't think it's really an issue. A bit ahead of myself here, so let's put some parts on the board, and I put that sticky flux on there, so hopefully I'll make it a little bit easier to get these things in and not them flying off and disappearing. Stick that on there, and that one on there. You can see these parts are massively smaller than the pads, but they're only doing pull-up functions, so that doesn't really matter. There's no real current draw there. Right, now technically I should be using solder paste and hot air, but actually I've got some solder paste now, but it's not something I normally use, or never even used solder paste before, to be honest. I've always just used this. So anyway, we'll see how we go. Should try doing solder paste actually. See how things end up being. Moved. So is that one, of course. Alright, this isn't going as well as I planned. Okay. Yeah, that's in place. It's always fun trying to do this really small stuff. I know what I've done wrong. Normally I put some solder on the pad before I start. I haven't done that this time, and that's the difference. I think I'll do that while I'm thinking about it. So I'm pad there. Just try this like so. Let's do this. Do it a bit of the old way. So I've already put that pen flux on. So there's already some flux on the board. Okay. Right, so that's the 10Ks. I'll come back once I've got the next value sorted out. Well, I have to check this last video because I just paused it and meant to go and get ready for doing this next piece, and noticed that the display had swapped around, so it looks like maybe it just did a vertical video even though I got the camera around the right way. I might have to see how that came out. That could be a problem. I might have to scrap that last bit of footage. Anyway, if I do, if that footage is gone, then actually, I'll put some flax on here. Obviously, I'm soldering these surface mount parts on, and the last bit of footage is me waffling on whilst I'm doing it. If it's there, then you get to see that anyway. But anyway, there, those on there too, and those two there as well. Not putting too much of this flux on. Doesn't need much. I've already got the pen flux on there from this thing here, which seems to work fairly well. But using this is a bit better to get these smaller parts on now. Okay, is that one in place? And the next one. Pick it up. Where did it go? 1K. I've lost it. There. Right. So yeah, hopefully the footage is okay, because that'd be a bit of a pain. But yeah, I'm going to just basically do all this and assemble it. wondering if I should actually bother recording the whole process or not. Yeah, some people might want to see. Watch me make mistakes and that kind of thing. Dear. Right, so that's those on. Capacitors. Oh, I've got that resistor there to do that, 47k, which I think is the one I need. Hold on a second. Now, yes, I'm using one of these little cheap component books you can buy, these sample books, these things. But I've always found to be fine, so I mean, I don't know. Yes, the quality of components you're getting is suspect, but really, I'm not really too worried about the resistor value being slightly off. It doesn't really matter in this situation. Well, you know, the capacitor values, I mean, a lot of these capacitor values I'm using are just estimates anyway. I've not done any calculations or anything like that. I just thought, right, that value seems about right, let's whack that in there. So it doesn't matter if it's out by 20% or 50% or whatever. I don't really think it matters that much. Okay. Right. So yeah, I wish I could a bit more of this. But I will stop and start it and just check it, because I mean, say just now I had that issue with the camera orientation looking like it may have been recording incorrectly, so hopefully I don't get too much of that happening, because I've moved the camera to be closer, so I'm trying to you know, get a better view for you. Right, so I'm going to pause that now. Now on to the capacitors. I think I've finished all the resistors. Yep, so now I'll do capacitors, so I'll stop there. Okay, so I just had a quick look at my footage, and yep, sure enough, the last two pieces I did were rotated, so I'm going to have to try and rotate those when I do the editing, and hopefully it doesn't mess up the quality too much. Bit of a shame, but yeah, it happens. Yeah. So now I'm doing the 100 NF caps. So we'll get these in. I can't see this one because I didn't have fluxes here. Here we go. Right. The other handy thing about using a slightly undersized capacitor versus the pads is that the alignment is less critical to get right, because it's such a large pad versus the part. It fits a lot easier. You know, it can be slightly out of alignment, it won't actually matter. So, too good. Right, so that's that one. Now I want a 10 NF. There we go. This is why the sample books are good, because you just, you know, it's got all right in front of you. You don't have to go hunting. It's just right there. And then when you use that strip, you just put another strip in. I mean, it's just, that's what's convenient about them, you know. But the quality of the parts, who knows? You know, it's that's the only risk, really. In my situation, I don't really care. It's just, I'm not using these for anything particularly critical. So, and it, you know, usually it's a case of if I'm replacing a part, it's going to be better than what I took out anyway. So, right. That is all of those on. Let's have a closer look in the camera, see if I can see what's going on. Make sure they look okay. Seem to be, from what I can see. Right. Now, let's do the display. Let's do the display next. Let's drop that in there. Come on, get in there. Oh, I've soldered over one of the pads. That's why it's not dropping in. That's okay, I can fix that. Got some solder on here somehow. There we go. Right. Now these I've got to try and get as straight as I can on the board as well. It's supposed to be a certain height. I did figure out how I was measuring that height. I've forgotten how it was now, but it's a little bit too high. I think it's coming out slightly. That's it. Right. Try and get it set up right. Just trying to base it on the amount of pins sticking out in order to get this straight. So it should be pretty close now. That looks ish. Ish. No, maybe not. It's a shame we can't get these with nice little standoffs which are about the right size. But probably should invest in that or something. Right, I think that's close-ish. Right, that'll do. Stick goes on. I think I'll change solder to my more fluxy one. It's messier, but it flows a bit better. Because I'm trying to get the solder right through to the other side of the board as well. Let's have a look. Did I get it right through? Yes, and yes. And it's the right way up. Even better. Don't know, once I put it on, I thought, oh, it's upside down. Okay. Right. Let's just get this flux for you. It's a bit messy. So that's that there. Now I think before I put this on, I might put the header on. Maybe. Just give me slightly more room to get in there to put the header on. This side is easy enough, so I'll do that. Alright, so I need 8. Why do I remember 10 pin? That's an 8 pin header. Why do I... For some reason I remember 10 pins. That's interesting. Why am I thinking of 10 pins for this? That's puzzling me actually. I'm sure I needed 10. Very interesting. I wonder if I made a mistake somewhere now, and that's never a good thing. Right, let's do one here too. Okay. Right. Here we go. Yeah, I'm wondering now if I made a mistake somewhere, because I'm thinking of had 10 pins in my head. I don't think it's a mistake on this board, it's something else I'm thinking of. I purchased some sockets, like line sockets for ribbon cables to put onto this board, to interconnect between this board and the main Arduino conversion board. And I'm sure I purchased 10 pin connectors. Sure I did. I hope I didn't, if that's the case, but I'm pretty sure I have. Right, I'm going to pause this now. Come back in. Well, I had a look and no, the circuit diagrams are for this show 8 pins. Oh, I don't know if I've purchased the wrong. I might have purchased the wrong plugs. I will have to go and check those as well. I haven't looked at it yet. Hopefully not. Right, it's sold to this, as you can see a little bit, can't you? Maybe I should have used this in the first place. That would have been sensible, wouldn't it? Oh, right. Well, let's get a tab on there first. Make sure it's definitely pushed in fully. Right. Right, so not too far away from actually being able to test this thing. Now, I've already written new code, which is obviously untested at this stage because I haven't had a board to try it on. So I shall have the opportunity to try that soon. Right, let's really do it. Yeah, it's all through fine. Looks good. Right, happy with that. Now let's keep it clean. Let's hope this thing works, because this has been a major redesign from what I had been planning. I was actually trying to not use a controller IC or a driver IC, exactly the opposite of what I was trying to achieve, but unfortunately it turned out to be unable to be done that way, because, well, it worked, but the it's a bit sticky still, but the noise from the Arduino driving the display directly was just excessive. I just couldn't get rid of enough of it. You know, I was almost right. So if you haven't seen my other videos on this development of this EP4 conversion board, go back through my video history there and my past videos in my back catalogue, and you will see my attempts to do this board, and you'll see the various videos. I mean, this is video number 13, so there's 12 more before this one. So if you haven't seen those, go and have a look, if this interests you, of course. See the whole development of this board. Normally I would do these things like within probably a month or two. You know, I'll do it pretty quickly. But I've been doing this whole video series, and I've done lots of revisions, and this is revision 3, or third major revision at least, of this board. I've done 2 revisions of the actual controller board. So yeah, it's one of these things. Normally I don't do revisions that quickly. I put more time into working things out and prototyping it up first, but I didn't really do that this time around. I was trying to do it differently. So anyway, that's clean. So now I need to go on to the next step, which is to get the radio, which I've got sitting here, and plug this into here. Now I can actually use this cable. I've kept the same interface configuration, at least to a point, where because it's going straight into the Arduino's just driving this differently, pretty much. It's got power pins which are the same, they're the same placement, and all the rest are all Arduino connections. So it's easy enough. I can still use this pin here, this header cable, and just plug it in, just not use all the pins. And then when I do get the proper plugs, I can then change to those I mean, this is my development board, so it's a bit messier than the final one's going to be. I've got these extra jumpers on here, which I was trying to filter out noise with. It helps slightly, but almost insignificant. I've got these header pins on different sides of the board as well, just trying on different things. Anyway, I'm waffling again, so I shall go away and I'll test it all off camera and come back if I have any luck with it. Right, so I've got the display installed. I had to do a few changes to the code. I had a couple of little mistakes in there. I basically had the digits reading out backwards, so I'd assume that that'd be digit 1, digit 2, digit 3, but on this driver it works out as digit 1, digit 2, digit 3. It's the opposite way around, so I had to swap all those around, but that wasn't that big a deal. And I've got it working. I'll tweak a couple of things for the display and the brightness levels and things like that. So this is running off this switch here. Also, when it's in dim, if you push a menu, say like that one there to load, it goes full brightness in the menus. So it's band menu, so it always goes full brightness in menus, just to highlight that it's in the menu. That's all fine, I believe. Actually, I shouldn't have looked at those band ones. I haven't actually played in the band menu. Should say, there we go. Yeah, that's all fine. That's working as it should. That's as it should be. Yeah, so it seems to be behaving and doing what things are supposed to do. Yeah, so it's steps obviously, so do 5k steps, and now it's got this, does that 0.5. Alright, the acceleration I need to play with some more, I think, so I've changed those values, so it's some kind of signal is here somewhere. Where would I see that? There's a signal there. Oh, disappeared again. Interesting. So yeah, it does all that, but I need to play with the encoder debounce again. Now I've changed the values on those parts on that board. That debounce is working differently, but I mean it's not too bad. Yeah, so we like that. Go to 11. So I'm happy with that. It's actually doing all the things it's supposed to be doing. Steps, 10k steps again. Right, so yeah, the bounce is a little bit out. I need to work on that slightly more. Just those timings again. But yeah, it's just a little tuning. That's not a big deal. And at least the display is working. And the other thing is, the display noise is gone. If I can just get my spectrum analyzer to find it again. There we go. Right. Just trying to get it tuned. Then I'll show you it. I'll come back in a second. I'm going to have to do a bit of manual video here, holding the camera. So I'll try and hold it steady as I can, but there you go, there's the waveform coming out. That's looking good. Alright, that's on 20 kHz span. So am I going up a little bit? Got to turn down so I get feedback. Okay, so you see the side bands there coming up. Yeah, anyway, so the problems are all gone. The board is working, the software is working, or firmware, whatever you want to call it really, and I'm happy. It is working well. So all good. That project is almost finished finally.